Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Patsy Brescia, Chairman of the Norwalk Charter Revision Commission, and we are commencing our final meeting on deliberations before we present our suggestions to the Common Council in the City of Norwalk. So roll call first. Carl?
Here.
Here.
Rick?
Rick
I'm here.
McQuaid.
Here.
Michael Witherspoon.
Here.
Angela Wasumi.
Here.
Benita Raleigh Watford.
Here.
And Tyler Fairbairn.
I am here.
So we have our full component of our 7 members for this meeting. Thank you all. And first on the agenda, approval of the minutes of our last meeting, which was a public hearing on May 17th. They have been presented to us. So there is a appropriate to move the minutes as presented.
I'll move.
There's a second to that.
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. Thank you. Are there any corrections or changes to this information, these minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote on the minutes for May 17th. So we will now continue our final deliberation and action on our hard work that we've done over the last, I don't know, 9 months, 10 months, whatever. So Council, Steve, will you please lead us through this?
Yeah, so the first item is the reason we needed to convene, and that is we need to have a technical amendment for the budget provision, Article 10, I believe it is. That this is the section that was adopted on March 1st. We also had public hearing and public comment after the March 1st adoption of this section. There has been no further comment on it. It was inadvertently not integrated into the document. And as I was doing the edits, I came across it, and thank goodness was able to do it in the in a way that we didn't have to ask the council to give us this section. So so I just urge you, unless you have any specific questions, there have been no changes since we adopted it. There are still some outstanding issues. Henry never got back on some of the transfer issues. So those issues, if we want to address them, may have to be brought up, and I will raise it when we get to the council. But otherwise, this is the first time that the charter integrates both the operating budget and the capital budget. And what we did, as you may recall, is we took the capital budget ordinance and converted it into the charter where it should be. You can do embellishments by ordinance, but the actual process should be laid out in the charter, and that's what Article 10 does. So if you want to add it, a motion would be in order.
Okay,
Sure.
the motion is in order to accept Article 10 as presented. Okay, Rick McQuaid, motion, second.
I second.
Carl, seconds. Are there any discussions regarding Article 10? Any questions? Any comments from commissioners? Okay, hearing none and seeing no hands raised, I'll take a vote on Article 10, accepting it as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous for the record. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. The only other substantive issue, and then we'll talk a little bit about the library, which Patsy raised with me in a memo this morning. And Patsy, I made all the changes that you had recommended, by the way, on your edits. And I was explaining it before the meeting. In the duties of the board in Article 9-1-8, B8 or whatever it is, it lays out in the current charter, there's a line that says that the authority that the board has, which it asserts with regard to its operating budget, does not include erection of new schools or additions to the present buildings.
Right, before you continue, you mentioned the library and you mean the Board of Education. You're addressing the issue.
I said we discuss the library later. I said.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that the substantive issue is the Board of Ed. There's an incidental issue that we have to discuss with the library in a
Oh,
moment. So I am discussing Board of Ed.
okay,
So we added to that they don't have the power to address other capital expenditures. Council, and he looked at the whole section, and he and the Board of Ed are fine with that section. And as you
Who's the he you're referring to?
Attorney Mooney, Tom Mooney.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel for the Board of Ed, who we met at the very interesting hearing we had about a month and a half ago with the Board of Ed.
Mhm.
And he raised the question that he was concerned that this language would impact their ability, if they wanted to, in their budget, that they have the power under 10-222 of the general statutes, that it would impede their ability to do certain things that could be construed as capital expenditures, like buying tables and chairs and computers. And I told him that I felt comfortable that the law is clear, that the line regarding construction of buildings, new buildings, modifications of buildings of the major capital nature is clear, that I would recommend deletion of the language or other capital expenditures and leave it as it is in the current charter. My judgment is that I think we're covered in a broadest sense on the real problems that could come up with this, with them getting into the capital business. They, as you recall, they were trying to insert themselves as a decision maker in the capital budget process, and we pushed back, and they did not become a decision maker. And I have often said that boards of ed play this game with some of the minor capital issues that they don't get through the capital budget, and that they hide them in their budget. I don't think this language the deletion will hurt anything, so I recommend that we delete the other capital expenditures language that I had earlier recommended that we go in there. We have very, very tight strictures in our capital budget process. I think we're okay without that language.
So you're recommending we delete what you put in, return to the original language?
Delete or other capital expenditures from 9-1 A8.
right. Any comments from Mr. McQuaid?
Yeah, I agree with it. I mean, if it's something that really isn't going to change the document and we already have it there and everybody's feeling comfortable with it, I say we just delete it and move on.
I concur.
Any other comments?
Well, that's fine with me.
Okay,
me.
Fine with me.
okay, so we'll do this formally. Someone make a motion, please.
Make a motion that we delete the item.
Okay. Carl, you second?
I'll second
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of deleting that phrase?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
It looks like it's unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. One other matter, Patsy properly brought up an issue as she perused the charter one more time, that we somehow left out the library director as a direct appointee of the mayor. And as I always do, when Patsy asked me to look at things, I went and reviewed the current ordinances, the current charter. I talked to the Corporation Counsel's office. I talked to the mayor's office. And what I found here is that we have a little bit of a quagmire. I have a whole series of emails that went back and forth between the mayor's office and the Corporation Counsel's office and library officials regarding this authority. And, you know, I've mentioned many times, I'll try to keep this very brief. There's a whole series of ordinances and statutes in Title VII. I call them the default statutes. Remember, I talked about it with regard to police commissions and boards of education and things like that. In Title 11, there's a default provision for the creation of a library board. And so in this series, and maybe Patsy will remember this being a member of the board, in this series of emails back and forth between the Corp Counsel and the director, Lamont Daniels, who I talked to as well today, they came to a conclusion that a lot of this was based on Title 11. And I said, be careful there, kids, because Title 11 has a library board that's elected. The state statute has an elected library board. You don't need to follow Title 11 to create your board. You can create a library board without resort to Title 11. And you can create a library board that is subject to appointment by the mayor, approval by the council, and also that has Title 11 gives the library board the ability to hire the director. And I can tell you there's communities throughout the state, many of whom I represent, that have historically separated the library director from the mayor and have him appointed by the director. And so the answer is there is no answer right now, but everybody I talk to favors the concept of having the library director appointed by the mayor, subject to approval by the council. But that is not the current state of the law. The way I think it was done was the library board interviewed had three finalists, sent the finalists to the mayor, and the mayor then made the selection. So in effect, the mayor made the selection, but I don't believe it was subject to council approval. And so everybody favors the concept of giving the mayor this authority. They thought that this would be an issue better taken up in front of the council because we really didn't, other than what I'm telling you right now, it's not an issue that we really delved into deeply. We did put the library board in the charter under the library department, the public library under the department section, but with regard to the actual librarian, there was no guidance and therefore it wasn't in the charter. Patsy was correct in bringing that up, but I'm not sure that we need to do anything. What we might do, Patsy, in your transmittal letter is add a line that at the end of our process, this came to our attention. It's an issue we think you need to look at.
Okay.
Is that all right? I mean,
I think the library board had wanted to attend one of our meetings and they had their trustee meeting in the same night and didn't get that opportunity. So I do think it needs discussion, and there's a deeper issue that the library board has in understanding Article 11 or Section 11, whichever you just referred to.
Title 11, yeah.
That there's sort of a conflict between that information and the ordinance, the current ordinance that created the library board. So that we can note that somehow and
Yeah,
discuss it.
I'll add that to your letter. I'll run it by you in the morning before I bring it down for you to sign. We will add that this is something that should be discussed. And I will tell you, I've asked Corp Counsel to look at the issue because they spent a lot of time on it. I think some of them agree with me that Title 11 does not govern, that you can do in your charter whatever you want to do. Title 11 is for communities that choose to exercise it and utilize it. There's good stuff to steal from Title 11, but I strongly recommend doing it the way we want to do it. I don't think Title 11 governs us. It doesn't control us. Our ordinance is a valid ordinance, even if it contradicts Title 11. That's my position. I don't want to speak for the Corp Counsel, but I've raised it with them. They will help us on this when it's before the council.
Okay.
So that's all I have on that. I don't think I have. Oh, one other thing came in. I think Patsy was on this email. One of our division chiefs this morning sent in a whole series of recommendations. Some of them are very useful. I wish I had them even a week ago. And I will look at them again once I get this over there tomorrow. I'll look at them and see, and I'll talk to Patsy and Rick and other members of the body to see whether or not the commission members who are going to be participating with the council in the next few weeks are willing to say, yeah, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, this is an edit, we should just, make that work. It just came in too late, and the mayor's office even said that when they sent it over. It's not going to be integrated into the document tonight. So
Which department was it?
oh boy.
Economic.
That's me, hard question. Hold on a second here. Let me,
It
was it economic development, Patsy?
Economic
Yes,
development, yeah.
yes,
Yep,
economic development.
economic development. So that's all I have.
All right. Anyone else have any comments?
Oh, do you want me
Just
to? give you-
about our schedule.
Let me
What's our
tell you the schedule, yes.
schedule going forward?
Well, you need to, why don't you, before I give you the schedule, why don't you take your formal action approving the draft charter as amended?
I'll make the motion that we approve the draft
I second.
Second it?
As amended.
as amended. Thank you.
And what, Benita, is that you?
I think it was both Angela and I.
Okay, thank you both. Any further discussion on that motion? All right, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Okay,
All right. So on Monday evening, we're going to be making a presentation. Presumably the chair, the vice chair, any other members who want to be there. I will send out after Patsy signs the letter, unless Patsy, if it's okay with Patsy, I'll send out the draft letter that Patsy's going to be signing tomorrow, which kind of lays out the approach we will take. I'm going to try to create a PowerPoint for Monday. It might be tight, but I will try to do that. And in that meeting, we will present to the council kind of the full breadth of what we've done with the charter. Following that meeting, there's a June 12th council workshop. There will probably be a meeting. It's not, there's no date, but the week of June 18th, they would have done it on Monday, but it's Juneteenth. So they're not, so sometime the week of Juneteenth, there'll be a second workshop. I'll let you know as soon as we hear. June 26th, there'll be another workshop with the council. On July 10th, there will be a public hearing and deliberations on recommendations. And on July 17th, they will either take final action on this. If they have no recommendations back to us, they can approve our charter as we recommended tonight. They could delete a few things if they don't like them, or they can send recommendations back. That would be July 17th. Tentatively, and this would be up to you guys, 2 nights later, July 19th, we would have the conferral meeting where they confer their recommendations to us. And hopefully we would turn it around in a 2-week period, get it back to them for early August, so that they can then get it on the ballot in September. So that's subject to change. They have up to 60 days. They're not using 60 days. This expedite. They gave us a real long time to get this done, and so they don't feel they need the time. And I think the number of workshops should work for us. I will get everything out in writing to everybody once
What
everything.
exactly is a workshop?
At the workshop, we will present, at the first one, we will present the whole charter. I don't know how they're going to take it after that. Are they going to go chapter by chapter? Are they going to want to go subject matter? Do they want to talk about the budget? Do they want to talk about what we did with boards and commissions or departments? And again, we didn't do a lot of substantive change. Are they going to, so they may not even have all these meetings for all I know. Are they going to want to talk about the thoughts that we had about the 4-year term for mayor, why we moved it to 2027, why we did it at all? So I don't know what they'll do, but the workshop, Benita, is where they have an opportunity to question us and then begin a debate on what should be in the charter.
Okay, 2 things. Are these all on Zoom or hybrid or?
I think most of their workshops will be Zoom. I believe that the first meeting, when I told them I was planning on being there next Monday, they said, oh, then we'll do it in chambers. It'll be a hybrid. But I think they're planning most of their workshops would be Zoom meetings.
Okay, and do we have approximate time for any of these meetings? Are they all evening meetings?
There will all be evening meetings. My guess is, I think that the meeting next Monday is at 7:30, according to my conversation with Greg today, with the president today. And I imagine most of the rest of them will fall the same way. What they're trying to figure out is how they're going to conduct these meetings. The president was talking about possibly doing an ad hoc committee. I've recommended a committee of the whole, which, even at the ad hoc committee, he would allow all members to attend, but he wanted to have a relatively informal structure that allows for flexibility. And if there was no quorum, they could at least have discussions without taking any action. They could hear from us and go into issues in a deeper way, even if they don't take any action. So we'll have a better sense, I think, after we make our presentation, Patsy, next Monday. We'll have a better sense of what they're going to want to look at.
If we could actually establish for everybody the approximate time that these are going to be, because, we're obviously going into summer vacations and
I will.
everybody's personal time.
I'll talk to Zuma tomorrow and see what time all of them will be. I don't set the time. But
No, I
I'll
know
ask
you don't, but I think that will be helpful to everybody, and we probably will get a bigger component of people that can participate.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna send us out an email and with an explanation of each of these, is what you said?
I will, as soon as I know how I will send you hopefully tomorrow
Okay.
the dates. And I'll try to get the times as well. I can't tell you what the content is going to be, because I'm not sure they know what the content is going to be at this point. And that one of the reasons in Stanford, where we have 5 different committees, they're going to do 5 different meetings on each committee. So we know what the content is. Here, because we had limited content change, I don't know what they're going to want to look at. They may be very comfortable. They may want to do grammatical revisions. It's unclear to me what they will do. We'll have a better sense after we meet with them on Monday, I think.
Okay. My main concern is the dates and the times, and
The dates are set.
Something-
I'll get you the times.
something as a title.
Yeah.
So I can put them in my calendar.
Yes, sir.
Patsy, I know that you like us to be there.
Uh-huh.
Do you still prefer that, or?
I do, if it's possible. I just think things flow a little better, and it's stronger participation.
Okay,
I would
if you
agree with you.
can. And
Yeah, I would encourage everybody.
Monday is 7:30, correct?
Monday is 7:30.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think that, I think the members, really deserve to be there and get the credit for the work they've done. But also, I think it's useful because everybody on this commission.
I have to go.
All right, take care, Angela. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody on this commission has a perspective. And so I think that every perspective that gets expressed to the members of the council are bound to appeal to somebody on the council. And so I think it's very useful and helpful if everybody could attend as many meetings as possible.
and I personally would hope that the council as a whole would participate. I just think that will make a much deeper impact of understanding of what we've gone through, and help us to present our findings and recommendations to the citizens of Norwalk so that this will pass. So the more participation, I think, is a healthy way to look at it.
I'd agree.
I do too.
Can we make a recommendation as a commission that that's what we prefer?
Prefer,
We meet with the council as a whole, not an ad hoc committee. I don't know
Let's
why.
see what
I
they,
think that'd be a little presumptuous to tell the council how to do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, I'm not saying say this is what it would be a request, not a directive.
I think we should wait and see what direction they go with when they accept it and, make the presentation, then we'll get a feel for what they're doing. If they do decide to go to the ad hoc committee, we can make a suggestion then, but I would do it ahead of time.
Yeah. I've already recommended the committee of the whole to have the entire body.
Oh.
Well,
It's
then
not-
you,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
You speak for us, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I said, based on my experience, you're not too big. 15 is not too big to do that. If you were 30 or 40, I think the committee approach is the right approach, but
Yeah.
in a body this big, and you're not gonna have 15 people at every meeting, so I think it behooves them to do it that way, but that's up to them ultimately.
I would agree with you.
Obviously. Okay, any other item anyone wishes to bring before the?
Thank you again, everybody.
You know, I just.
Sorry
want-
about this meeting. This was my meeting. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Just
Mr.
one
McQuaid?
quick thing is, you know, Patsy, under your leadership and guidance, and Steve and this team, I tell you what, I've sat on a lot of commissions and committees and different ad hocs and everything. This was a great bunch of people to work with, non-political, to the point, getting it all done. So kudos to you, Patsy, leading us, and Steve.
Thank you.
I don't know why we didn't get an attorney a long time ago to do this.
I second that.
Really.
And having sat on a number of these in this city as well, I love how it's remained nonpartisan. And it's the only one that I've sat on since I've been in this town on meetings that I haven't immediately had to take antacid after.
There's an endorsement for you there.
That's the best, but thank you all, and I,
Patsy, I'll call you in the morning to arrange a time for signature. Is that,
okay,
all right?
yes. Yes, sir.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I make a motion?
Thank you.
Yes, Carl Dickens makes a motion to adjourn, second.
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 By several
Bye, group.
members, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Therefore,
Bye-bye.
so adjourned. Thank you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good night.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Yep, my time.
We're setting all this up for a
Oh.
30-minute meeting. On, thank you.